beauty, but I know I saw it clearly through your eyes. Now the world outside is such a cold and bitter place. Here inside I have few things that will console. And when I try to hear your voice above the storms of life, then I remember that I was told. Yes, I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty of the world through my own eyes. Yes, I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes. I think of the things that made me feel so wonderful when I was young. I think of the things that made me laugh, made me dance, made me sing. I think of the things that made me grow into a being full of pride. Think of these things, for they are true. And I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes. I thought that you were gone, but now I know you're with me. You are the voice that expresses I need to hear. I know a please, a thank you, and a smile will take me far. I know that I am you, and you are me, and we are one. I know that who I am is numbered in each grain of sand. I know that I've been blessed again and over again. Yes, I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes. Yes, I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes.
From many places of the mind, body, heart, and spirit, we gather together this day. We bring our dreams and our despondent hearts. We bring our rainbow socks and our legislative rage. We bring our glitter and our glorious garishness. We bring our quiet, introverted selves. We bring our queerness and our awkwardness and our loud demands. Bring it all today. Every single part of you that's out, that's not, every longing and every tender hope you've ever had. It's all good. It's all good to be here. It's all welcome. And it is just fine to be you. Warming our virtual space is the Combs family. And so we invite Diana, Steve, Dylan, Zach, Jessica, and Carolyn to kindle our chalice flame. Combs family, I'm so sorry. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read this for you. And we're going to just keep ourselves focused on you. The light of the sun does not lift the shadows that have fallen on humanity the world over. We relight our chalice flame to reignite a spirit of radical optimism, knowing it takes us all living what matters, that matters, to dispel those who would divide us. All manner of things will be well if we make them well. May our free religious communities embody the right relationships our world so desperately needs. So this means we're going to invite you back to do a chalice lighting on another service. Thank you.
Today, we joyously celebrate our high school seniors and members and allies of our Pride community. Please remain muted as we all sing together hymn number 346, Come Sing a Song with Me.
a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
Welcome everyone to All Souls Church. I'm Craig Dillon Wyatt, and my pronouns are he, him, or ze, them. In fact, I received my renewed driver's license this week that for the first time indicates my gender identity as unspecified, which is not ideal, but at least it's a step in the right direction. We are glad that you've joined us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever you are streaming the service, welcome. All Souls is and has always been an aspirational name. And together, we continue to strive to live into it. We invite you to join us and allow us to join you on this collective journey of love, common understanding, and hope. If you are new to our community, you are especially welcome. And if you would like to be included on our mailing list, please send me, Craig Dillon Wyatt, a direct message in the chat with your email address. And I'll make sure our membership director adds you to our mailing list. In our ongoing effort to acknowledge and support Indigenous communities, I wanted to share what I learned from a member of the Sioux tribe who informed me a couple of years ago of why the tribal communities that highly respect their Two-Spirit members do so. I had heard somewhere that some tribes highly revere their Two-Spirit individuals, but I had never heard why. He explained that in their culture, there are important roles and traditions that are handed down through the generations that are separated by gender. And the Two-Spirit members of their tribe learn both roles. So then, when a conflict inevitably arises, they will bring the conflict to the Two-Spirit member of their community to help them arrive at the most just outcome stemming from their wisdom of both subcultures. That seemed incredibly logical to me. And as someone who identifies as gender non-binary, which is not the same as transgender, as I'm not transitioning to a different gender, I found it particularly meaningful. So it is appropriate to continue to humbly recognize the history of the land on which our church building stands. The closest tribe was Nacotchtank. They are part of the Piscataway group of tribes. Please join me for a deep breath and a silent moment of recognition of the injustices of the past that still have echoes in the injustices we are still seeing today. Thank you. I want to wish you all a very happy Pride Month and to add my very proud congratulations to our graduates this morning. Welcome again, whoever you are, to All Souls Church.
This morning, we want to take a moment that could ordinarily take an entire service. All Souls seniors are in transition from one stage in life to another, and we wanted to take some time to recognize this milestone, to honor their accomplishments, and to behold them as part of our All Souls community. Today, we honor as well the dedication and love and hard work of their parents. Now, in ordinary times, as one of your ministers, I would have had the opportunity to get to know each one of you. And I regret that it was not possible this past year. But we also know that the church's imprint on your life goes beyond any one minister. This church has been part of your roots. And now, as we sing every Sunday, it also provides you with the wings to soar into the next chapter of your life. As a part of each of you will be rooted here at this church and in our faith. And we expect that the values of love and justice and compassion that we shared with you here will continue to sustain you in the years ahead. And that you will never forget that you are well loved and carry within you a spark of the divine.
My name is James Plazer, he, him. I'm the Associate Director of Religious Education for Youth and Children. And it has been my honor to work with our high school seniors over the last many years, and it is to them directly that I now speak. Class of 2021, some of you have been known to this congregation since you were just wee ones in the preschool, and others only joined us in recent years. Some of you have been anchoring institutions of our high school youth group, and others found meaning and purpose in activities outside of our All Souls RE. Some of you have traveled the world and are just now landing back here at the close of your high school time, and others have relocated across the country and yet choose to celebrate with us here today. Regardless of when you got here, exactly where you've been, and where you're off to next, we will always consider you the children of this congregation. As our dedication words say, we will love and cherish you always. And yet, children, you are no longer. You have spent a full third of your high school experiences in this COVID era, and here you are, emerging before our eyes, newly minted young adults, into a world of both beauty and chaos that is itself only now just emerging from a pandemic. And we are immensely proud of you. We see how you've grown into capable, compassionate, dedicated people who know the value of inclusion and community, who are passionate about your pursuits and certain to shine your light where us older generations, those places that we've left in shadow. People who know to seek truth and to seek love above all else. In this way, you embody the values of our congregation and our faith and are just what the world needs. And though it is bittersweet, we bestow you now upon the wider world. You are a blessing to them and to us all. The All Souls High School senior class of 2021 is Carolyn Combs,
Hi.
Forrest Milner, Forrest Milner, Nico Romero, Griffin Smith. Also a part of the class, but unable to attend today, are Sophia Hackett, Helen Gentoft-Her, and Logan Tildesley. We're now going to invite the seniors to participate in a reading so that we can see their faces, hear their voices, and hopefully they in turn can feel our very real and not just virtual love and appreciation. The poem is by Alexandra Huynh, who is also the high school class of 2021, who will be taking the place of Amanda Gorman as the new National Youth Poet Laureate. The poem is Inheritance by Alexandra Huynh.
Even as I untether myself from this built world, I know I exist. The battles continue where my feet stand. I need no pictures to prove it. The celebrations live inside my bloodline. I need no ribbon to prove it.
I am already a triumph every day I breathe. And years from now, when I become ancestor, I will tell them about the courage of distance, how we learn to hold space instead of hands. I will tell them about
the color of courage, how loss echoed through an entire generation, and the children became teachers. Learned love is not defined by age. I will tell them of this land we ripped from a people we can never repay, but we will try and try.
I will tell them about the way a footstep can be felt on the other side of the planet. So mind your soul, move only in truth. You have inherited this silence, now make it sing.
Thank you to our seniors. It is truly an honor to hear your voices. So good to see you all and hear you. Now is the time in our Zoom worship when we practice what we call beholding, and we will take a moment before a final bit with our seniors afterward. We will take a moment to scroll through the gallery view, say hello to one another in the chat, behold one another's faces, perhaps congratulate our 12th graders, and as we do all of this, create and enjoy community together. Thank you all. A final brief moment and word for our seniors. Well, today we officially recognize the end of your time in RE. You can still hang out all summer, don't fret. But we do expect to see you back at All Souls on occasion, holidays, vacations, and the like. As often as we get to, we'll always love a visit. Remember that we are here for you and that you can always call on us anytime for support. I will invite the congregation to join me as we offer you some final words of support to send you on your journey. Congregation, though we ask you remain muted, I'll ask you to join me perhaps in raising your hands as we offer this blessing, the words of which are to be found on the screen. And I'll wait for them to come onto the screen, but I'm realizing we might just need to drop them in the chat.
I think it's in the chat, yeah.
Great. Take a look in the chat. Seniors, as you move into your next phase, we remind you to keep alert, stand firm in your faith, be courageous, be strong, and let all you do be done in love. Thank you. Good fortune, blessings to you all.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going. We know within, and we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. Oh yeah, yeah. 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 We are going. Heaven knows where we are going.
Hello to everybody in every time zone. That was beautiful. Thank you, Jubilee Singers and high school seniors and James. I'm Louise, Minister of Congregational Care, and my pronouns are she, her. Congrats to all those graduates, and a special thanks today to Chuck Delaney, who is our AV guru behind the scenes today. Happy DC Pride Week. Woohoo! I'll try not to scream for all of us who are LGBTQIA+ and our allies. We hold together both the joy and the ongoing loss in our communities. Today, we remember the 5-year anniversary of the June 12th, 2016 Pulse nightclub shootings in Florida, as well as continuing violence against our siblings. And this year, the annual DC Interfaith Pride Service will include our own All Souls Jubilee Singers. It is this Tuesday, June 15th at 7 p.m. and the Zoom link will be on the All Souls calendar. We have a special invitation for you. Next Sunday, June 20th, you're invited to our live on the grounds outdoors summer solstice stroll from 2 to 5 p.m. in the afternoon. It's going to be a great celebration with the Akoma drummers, a juggler, movement for all ages and abilities, a crafts market from Ghana, family fun, social time. So come on down 2 to 5 next Sunday and bring your mask in case it's needed. On Sunday, June 27th, All Souls will not be hosting a service. I'll repeat that so it lands. On Sunday, June 27th, All Souls will not be hosting a service, but we are inviting you to attend the Sunday morning service at the UUA General Assembly. This is the largest gathering of UUs annually each year. And the Zoom link for that wonderful recorded service will also be on our website. So you can watch it at 10:30 Eastern time or anytime you choose. And I hope you do, because it's wonderful to see what we experience as a denomination when all are gathered. All Souls Summer Music and Arts Camp is on August 2nd to the 13th, but registration is closing soon. So you need to register now to participate in this amazing camp led by Jen Heyman, Rochelle Rice, and the camp director, Dante Pope. Get those kids playing, singing, and working together to love the earth, which is the theme. We're sharing now our congregational care concerns, and we remember and honor many. We send prayers of love and solace to Marlise Pastore, whose mother has entered hospice care. Our hearts are with Marlise and Jim and the extended family. And our prayers for strength and healing go to Buzz and Mary. This is the sister and brother-in-law of our staff member, Dolores Miller. Buzz was in surgery yesterday for cancer of the spine. And this family has had several other difficult losses, so we hold them all in our love and care. And we particularly remember all of us who are in the process of grieving in our All Souls community here and far beyond. We commit to accompany one another as we take the time it takes to feel the pain and loss and to mourn the absence of those we love. And now your names or situations into this space in silent naming or offered in the chat. Spirit of life and source of love. Today we celebrate the full expression of our humanness particularly those of us who are transgender and queer. We move beyond categories and embrace the fluid range of identities we each hold. We open to transformation. Let us honor the gifts of each one who experiences living in different rainbow colors. Remind us of the solidarity and healing which comes from being seen and known for who we really are. May we be a community that holds love in the center as we take action for a more caring and a more just world. Blessed be, and amen.
My name is Tequina Boston, and my pronouns are she, her. This morning's reading comes from Spilling the Light, Meditations on Hope and Resilience by Reverend Teresa I. Soto, pronouns they, them. Dear trans, non-binary, genderqueer, and gender expansive friends and kin, and those of us whose gender is survival. You are not hard to love and respect. Your existence is a blessing. Your pronouns are not a burden or a trial. They are part of your name, just shorter. Some of our kin use only their names where pronouns would be, the names they are called. Remember that someone getting them wrong is not a poor reflection on you. It is not your fault. Your body really and truly belongs to you, no one else. The stories of your body, the names of your body's parts, your body's privacy, the sum of your body's glory. It is not okay for anyone to press their story of you back to the beginning of our liberation. We will find the people ready to be on the freedom for the people way. We will go on. No one can rename you other. It can't stick as you offer the gift of being and saying who you are. Mostly, though, your stories belong to you. Your joy and complexity are beautiful. However, you may choose to tell it or not tell it. Some folks, cis, may take their liberty for an unholy license. You are beloved. Please keep to our shared tasks of healing, getting free.
My name is Shige Sakurai, and I go by they, them pronouns or zir pronouns. I have been an off and on congregant at All Souls since 2011. I became more involved in 2019 and a member in 2020. I am a Unitarian Universalist with an atheist family upbringing, with Shinto, Buddhist, and Christian heritages, and with involvement in Druidry and nature-centered spirituality. My work in education and advocacy for social justice is a calling, a ministry. I began politically coming out in the late 90s by co-writing an article in my Catholic high school's newspaper, which we entitled, "You Are Not Alone." It was social justice and Jesuit liberation theology that pushed me to come out politically. People were suffering, and society was holding harsh judgments against queer people, but also did not know us. We were a political abstraction, an issue of the day, something that existed occasionally on the news, but rarely openly shared in real life friendships and human relationships. It was important to me to put a face and a story to what seemed conceptual to so many people at that moment and context in Ohio. There were additional reasons for me to come out. Have you ever felt that the life you have been socialized to live is not your own? Have you ever felt that it was worth sacrificing everything you have come to know in order to live your truth? Perhaps you know that feeling if you have come out as queer or trans, or if you chose a career your family didn't expect, or if you have ended a really difficult relationship. Perhaps you know those feelings for other reasons. While everyone has their own paths, it was worth it to me to break free from expectations, to live into my own authenticity. I was called to do it. My fears and anxiety were so great that I was researching youth homeless shelters in Cincinnati so that I had a place to go in case I needed to leave home when I came out to my family and school. But my worst fears did not come to fruition. Instead, I quickly found an incredible, gorgeous rainbow community. Soon after I publicly came out as not being straight, I went to college in Illinois and found myself in queer spaces, including at amazing conferences and gatherings where I could hear transgender keynote speakers and see a panel of genderqueer people, meet Indigenous Two-Spirit activists, and attend an intersex issues workshop. I realized more and more about the nexus of sexuality and gender, and I quickly found that not only is my sexuality queer, but my gender is queer too. For me, invoking the word queer was always a way to seize the power from a word that had been weaponized against us. And it was countercultural. It was to say, I deserve rights, even if I am outside of the norms. It was a way for me to blur the lines and exist in a more fluid, more nebulous space. Although I find much joy in queerness and transness, I've experienced my share of oppression. As a trans and queer person of color, I know what it is to experience public harassment and assault. As an activist for my communities, I know what it is to experience threats on my life and to be publicly named and shamed in newspaper editorials. And now, trans, non-binary, genderqueer, gender non-conforming, and sometimes two-spirit and intersex people are having a media moment. Often that's been a moment of being a political football, a wedge issue. The groups that are easier to pick on because so many people know so little about us. It is no coincidence when dozens and dozens of pieces of anti-trans legislation pop up in so many places around the country at the same time. These are the results of concerted efforts by anti-queer, anti-trans activists and their organizations. The same organizations that fought marriage equality and had over a dozen ballot initiatives in 2004 favoring discrimination in marriage. The anti-trans leaders of today are affiliated with many of the same organizations that had filed amicus briefs leading up to the 2003 Lawrence versus Texas Supreme Court decision. They were arguing that sodomy laws should be legal so people could be imprisoned for being queer. We are caught up in talking about showers, restrooms, sports, surgeries, and so on. People are inventing or grabbing on to opinions about trans rights inside of some ideological and political abstraction. While for conservatives, this often means opposing our rights, for liberals, it could also be a knee-jerk support of trans rights. As Unitarian Universalists, we theoretically and theologically center the worth and dignity of all. But belief isn't enough, especially when it lives inside a vacuum of political abstraction. We need to move from principles to practices. Know us. Actually know us. Educate yourself. Be open to adjusting your ideas and assumptions. Be open to adjusting your practices. Make friends. Build community. Empower us. This applies to cisgender allies and also to trans people. As trans people, we don't all magically know each other and share the exact same experiences. We have a huge amount of internal diversity, diversity of racial and cultural identities, of socioeconomic class status, of disability status, but we also have different experiences of gender as well. Every one of us, we all need to build meaningful relationships within and across our many and varied identities. The history of oppression and supremacy culture, the history of colonialism, is the history of being erased, obscured, and diminished, to be torn apart from one's self, to become unfamiliar with one's self. But what we don't always notice is that this harms both the oppressed and the oppressor. It prohibits all of us from flourishing. For me, one part of decolonization is moving lands and power and material resources back to groups that have been enslaved, incarcerated, displaced, or harmed by colonization. But the other part is changing our ideas, our minds, our spirits, and our hearts by relearning our humanity and our histories. The process of knowing ourselves is continuous. Reverend Shinichiro Imaoka, a non-theist Japanese Unitarian, was born in 1881 and wrote about the power of self. In 1966, he wrote, quote, "I believe in self, awakened to autonomy, sociality, and creativity within me, I find my daily life worth living," unquote. Sociality meant that core to the self is being with others. His conceptualization was not about individualism. His words go deeper. They hold a lot of power. Reverend Imaoka expanded on this idea of the importance of selfhood, writing 100 years after his birth that one had the power to establish one's own selfhood, and that we each have the, quote, autonomy for becoming one's own hero, unquote. To become one's own hero. Have each of us taken up the calling to be our own heroes? For many trans people, it feels like we have no choice but to become our own heroes. Reverend Imaoka wrote that since he believes so strongly in the self, he must believe in others, and he must believe in the human community. And from there, he added that he believes in the cosmic community, which could also be described as a universal cooperative community that includes not only humans, but all of our interdependent web of reality. If we are to become our own heroes, we must be heroes for each other, for humanity, and join the cosmic community. We are so often told that transgender and non-binary identities have simply been invented by the youth of today. The reality is much more complicated. While some language and concepts may be modern, the interiority of transness has existed since time immemorial. Many of these identities were erased through colonialism and anti-queer laws implemented by British and other colonial governments. Transphobia is a part of white supremacist colonial practice. The teaser for today's service was a quote from Pauli Murray, who was born in 1910 and died in 1985, which says that, quote, "True community is based on equality, mutuality, and reciprocity. It affirms the richness of individual diversity as well as the common human ties that bind us together, unquote. Who was Pauli Murray? Pauli Murray was an African-American, gender non-conforming civil rights activist, feminist, lawyer, and minister. Some writers describe Murray as a transgender man who did not have access to societal or medical support to be able to name and live that reality, as Pauli Murray might have wanted to. Indeed, Murray chose the gender-neutral name Pauli and dressed in gender non-conforming ways. And in the 1940s, Murray sought hormone treatment. At the same time, Murray was raised as a girl and socialized as a woman, and was often the only person who was not a cisgender man in many spaces. And Murray was celebrated by women's organizations, including receiving the Ministry to Women Award in 1977 from the Unitarian Universalist Women's Federation. Some have used she, her pronouns, some have used he, him pronouns, and others have used they, them pronouns to refer to Murray. I'm using no pronouns, just Pauli Murray's name, because Murray is not alive to ask. As a fierce African-American activist, Pauli Murray was arrested for refusing to give up a bus seat in a whites-only section in 1940. Yes, in 1940. Murray went to law school at Howard University and has been hailed as a pioneer in securing the rights of women and people of color. Pauli Murray linked racial discrimination to gender discrimination, coining the term Jane Crow, and setting the groundwork that we still use today to advocate for rights for all of our communities, including trans communities. Pauli Murray's 1950 book on race and color in state laws was called The Bible of the Civil Rights Movement by Thurgood Marshall. And Murray was a co-author on the 1971 Reed versus Reed brief with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And Murray was well-versed in intersectionality before the term was coined, writing in 1967, "I cannot allow myself to be fragmented." In 1973, Pauli Murray shifted paths, leaving legal and academic work for religious work. In 1977, Murray became the first African-American who was not a cisgender man to be ordained as a priest in the Episcopal Church. Indeed, later Murray was also sainted in the Episcopal Church. Despite all of these incredible accomplishments, Pauli Murray also was known for saying, quote, "What is often called exceptional ability is nothing more than persistent endeavor," unquote. Thank you, Pauli Murray, for laying out the pathways and reminding us to keep going. But sometimes the journey is not about the destination or even the path. It's about this exact moment, this moment. But sometimes the journey is not about the destination or even the path. It's about this exact moment that we are sharing this moment together, that this moment is the work, that this moment is creating, that this moment is community, that this moment is relationship. I want you to know that trans people can have awesome and fun lives, communities, and experiences. Yes, we face oppression. Yes, we are sometimes attacked, targeted, or made to feel awful about ourselves. But just like everyone else, we can also have moments of liberation, including gender euphoria, a moment when your gender or lack thereof feels so wonderful and empowering. Let us work together to make gender euphoria not just a moment, but a lifetime. So I leave you with this poem I've written entitled Gender Euphoria. My hair was a creek, flowing quietly. My skirt was lungs, breathing in the calm of the evening breeze. My heart was centered, my spirit was warm. Identity mattered and did not matter. Being alone and together were simultaneous. I was free. In that moment, in this moment, nothing else matters. I am present. I am experiencing life, gender, no gender, humanness, nature, cosmic community. Let us continue to journey together in trans liberation.
Okay, so if we were together, I would just be going, woo! Thank you, Shige. I have just a few things to say, but yours was really the word we needed to hear today. So thank you. And folks, we are going to go a little bit later than 11:30. We do hope you'll stay, of course, for the remainder of the service. You know, my name's Kathleen Rollins, pronouns she, her, hers. I didn't know anything about Pauli Murray. I didn't until Shige introduced me to the extraordinary life of this extraordinary person. And I love the quote, Pauli's quote, what is often called exceptional ability is nothing more than persistent endeavor. But here's the thing, that persistent endeavor remained for many years invisible, like the lives of trans and gender persons, genderqueer persons throughout our history. So our service today is in part a celebration of that persistent endeavor of trans people to take their rightful place of recognition. And you know, I have to say, despite the accomplishments of the 20th and 21st century regarding trans rights, our society is still seemingly more comfortable with binary thinking. You are gay or straight, you are male or female, you are Black or white, you are parent, you are childless. I think what we are learning as a people is something that has been true since the beginning of time. As human beings, we are so much more richly nuanced and complex than we have been acculturated to believe. As you've heard, our theme for today is about liberation and about how trans liberation is crucial for trans people and how liberation for one also benefits all. I identify as a cisgender woman, meaning I'm not transgender. And that said, I can't and don't adopt many of the things that women are supposed to be good at. I'm a terrible cook, but I'm really good with a hammer and screwdriver. My husband is awful at fixing things, but he makes fabulous meals. I love clothes and fashion, but I hate the ways in which women have been inculcated into certain norms of what's expected of a cisgender woman. I often lead with my head and not my emotions, which for many years was understood to be a more male dominant trait. Trans liberation has taught me and continues to teach me important lessons, that the freedom to express the fullness of our being in private and our public lives is essential to collective liberation. And the consequences of not fully living into oneself can be heartbreaking. All of us are more than the boxes we are so often asked to check. And Unitarian Universalism, along with other progressive churches, have played a critical role in challenging this check the box gender norms, whether legislatively, emotionally, or spiritually. When our Unitarian ancestor, James Luther Adams, coined the phrase, revelation is not sealed, he was speaking theologically, that the liberal church continues to understand our beliefs as an unfolding process. But that is true not just for our minds, but our hearts and our very being as well. It creates space for us to explore who we are becoming, which may and in fact should develop over the course of our lives. This is what it means to be tasked with the great art of being human, to expand and explode the false binaries which do not allow for liberation. And that is why we celebrate Pride. We celebrate pride because of the persistence of our ancestors who have insisted on seeing the breadth of their lives as liberatory and normative. We celebrate pride because of the courageous resistance of the LGBTQ plus community to the forces which would deny full rights and personhood. And we celebrate pride because regardless of the pronouns you go by, we can affirm and commit to the words of Reverend Teresa Soto as they remind us, you are beloved. Please keep to our shared task of healing, of getting free. May it be so.
I am Sherry Gilbert, she, her. I am a cisgender white woman. I am the mother of 2 children, one an IVF baby, one who was adopted from Guatemala. I am the mother of 2 transgender children. My brother is quadriplegic. My nephew married his husband, a Methodist minister and National Guard reservist, during their pandemic Zoom wedding. My boyfriend is Jewish and a widower. I am Grammy to his 2 grandchildren. My sister-in-law, 2 mothers-in-law, 3 brothers-in-law are by way of my former husband. My boyfriend and I, and my former husband and his wife, span 40 years to 70 years old. Their daughter and our granddaughter are both 3 years old. We are all ages, all gender identities, all abilities, all colors, all familial and marital statuses, all sexual orientations, all religions. We are family. We, like All Souls, are diverse and inclusive. A word before we take the offering. Our fiscal year ends on June 30th. If you have not completed your pledge or annual gift to All Souls yet for the 2020-2021 year, please do so now. You may send a note of your intentions to either Gary Penn or Tracy Hughes Trotter, and their emails will be in the chat. This morning's offering will now be received.
Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I made my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love.
For our closing benediction, you are all invited to say the words with us. May we live the spirit of pride. You can find those in the chat. So with gratitude for the freedom to be our true, authentic selves, may we live the spirit of pride.
With the courage that comes from challenging fear,
may we live the spirit of pride. With grief for those whose pain was unbearable and who left us too soon, may we live the spirit of pride.
In witnessing the justice still withheld,
may we live the spirit of pride. With the confidence that a sense of community banishes isolation and loneliness, may we live the spirit of pride. Go in peace, go for peace, but let not your peace be at the expense of another's collective liberation. Amen, and may it be so.
There is power in the name of love. There is power in the name of love. There is power in the name of love. To break every chain, 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 to break every chain. There's power in the name of love. There's power in the name of love. There's power in the name of love. To break every chain, break every chain, break every chain. To break every chain, break every chain, break every chain. There's an army rising up. There's an army rising up. There is an army rising up. Yeah, yeah. To break every chain, break every chain, break every chain. To break every chain, break every chain, break every chain. There's an army rising up. There's an army rising up. There's an army rising up. To break every chain, break every chain, break every chain. To break every chain.